This is 5 snub-nose revolvers for senior shooters.
In today's video, we're going to discuss 5 different snub-nose revolvers, go over their pluses and minuses, and cover why we think a snub-nose revolver can be an excellent concealed carry personal protection choice for your senior citizen shooter, or frankly, inexperienced shooters, experienced shooters, non-gun enthusiasts, gun enthusiasts, or pretty much everybody. So let's start off by asking the question, why a snub-nose revolver? Well, snub-nose revolvers and revolvers in general can typically be very simple to operate. They're usually simple to shoot, easy to control, easy to carry. They're easy to load and unload. They're more accurate than people realize, and yes, even from that little short snub-nosed barrel. They're reliable, and you often have many ammo choices available to help tailor the outcome to match your desired outcome. Revolvers can be excellent choices for just about everybody, unless you're in a John Woo movie where maximum capacity comes into play. The 5 snub-nose revolvers we're going to talk about today are going to run the gambit of budget-friendly to less than budget-friendly. We're going to cover a few different calibers that are available, discuss a few different ammos for just a few of these firearms today, spend some time discussing why we prefer the lower recoil side of the ammo available for these firearms, and overall just have a pluses and minuses discussion, and at the end of the day, rank these firearms. To start the discussion, let's begin with the Smith & Wesson 351 PD, which is a 7-shot airweight snub-nose revolver chambered in .22 Winchester Magnum. And now, let's hit the range!
The Smith & Wesson Model 351 PD is a J-frame airweight revolver chambered in .22 Winchester Magnum. It has a 7-shot capacity. The overall length is 6.19 inches, height 4.3 inches, width 1.3 inches, and it weighs in at an almost too light 11.4 ounces unloaded. It's amazing how light this pistol is. The firearm has no external safety. It has an external hammer with a double action and single action trigger, depending on if you have the hammer cocked or down. The firearm has a 1.88-inch stainless steel barrel. For sights, it has a fiber optic front sight with a frame-integrated U-notch rear sight. Smith & Wesson considers this revolver a small J-frame. What helps get it so light is the frame and cylinder are both in aluminum alloy, though it does have a stainless steel barrel. That front sight is a high-vis fiber optic front sight, and it also has an intentional 10-pound plus double action trigger. Here you can see a close-up of that high-vis orange fiber optic front sight, along with the sight picture that sight affords. We're not going to talk too much about ammo in today's video, though we are going to make an exception here for the 351. This firearm is chambered in .22 Winchester Magnum, which the bullet on .22 Magnum is 1/1000th of an inch larger than .22 long rifle. You might, and I stress might, be able to shoot .22 long rifle, though it's obviously not recommended, and you're not going to get the same accuracy potential as using the correct ammo. Speaking of ammo, .22 long rifle is traditionally a rifle cartridge. It has a slower burning powder, builds up pressure slower. Though for pistol, or shall we say snub-nose revolver ammo, there is one, at least pretty good choice out there at the moment, Hornady Critical Defense, with its 45 grain FTX, kind of like a ballistics tip, projectile. In our tests, our average velocity from the 351 came out to 995 feet per second, and we achieved between 10 and 14 inches of penetration in our ballistics gel block. For pros, the Smith & Wesson Model 351 PD, it is extremely lightweight which helps make it extremely easy to carry. Though, as one downside, it does have a little more felt recoil due to how light that firearm is. The fiber optic front sight is very easy to see and pick up when you're using the firearm. It also has a double action and single action trigger where you can cock the external hammer to use the single action trigger or fire it hammer down in double action mode. And it does have a nice 7-shot capacity. Though some downsides are, in addition to more felt recoil than expected, the double action trigger in the 10 to 12 pound ballpark can be very demanding. This revolver is also among and might be the most expensive firearm represented in today's video, found priced often north of the $700 ballpark, and this firearm is far from budget friendly like we usually see on this channel. Let's now take a look at the second revolver in today's video, the Taurus 327 snub nose revolver. The Taurus 327 is a 6-shot revolver chambered in .327 Federal Magnum. It has an overall length of 6.55 inches, height of 4.8 inches, width of 1.41 inches, and weighs in at 23 ounces unloaded. The firearm has a 2-inch stainless steel barrel. For a safety, it has a transfer bar safety. This revolver has an external hammer, allowing you to cock the hammer and fire it in single action, or fire with the hammer down with the double action trigger. The sights on this firearm are a serrated front blade and frame integrated rear sight. The Taurus 327 is intended for home defense and personal protection and is chambered in .327 Federal Magnum, which allows it to also shoot .32 H&R Magnum, as well as .32 Smith & Wesson short and .32 Smith & Wesson long. Similar to how you can shoot often .38 Special out of a .357 revolver, with this .327 you have choices. Some of those choices are spicier on the intended target, as well as the shooter. .327 Federal Magnum self-defense ammo like this Federal Premium Hydra Shock jacketed hollow point has an average velocity of 1,211 feet per second or 277 foot-pounds of energy out of the Taurus 327. Though it is very punishing on the shooter, I would put it akin to shooting .357s out of a .357 snub-nosed revolver. Very uncomfortable to shoot. Luckily, you can step down, shall we say, to .32 H&R Magnum, which out of the Taurus 327 has an average velocity of 954 feet per second for 162 foot-pounds of energy. I would put this similar to shooting .38s out of a .357 snub-nosed revolver. Much more pleasant to shoot, and while you give up a little bit of energy and, we'll say, stopping power on your intended target, you still have something plenty capable of stopping your target. And yet another option is .32 Smith & Wesson long. In this case, we're looking at 100 grain lead flat nose projectiles from Cell and Below, which these numbers are out of a 6-inch barrel. We haven't tested the velocity yet. Out of a 6-inch barrel, the advertised velocity is 853 feet per second for 162 foot-pounds of energy. Those numbers are very similar in terms of the energy to what we see with the .32 H&R Magnum out of our 327. Though again, 6-inch barrel, so we're going to expect to see slower velocity and as a result, less energy foot-pounds from this 2-inch barrel. Though this ammo is by far the most pleasant, shall we say, has the least felt recoil, and I would put it on par or maybe even slightly better than shooting our .22 Winchester Magnum out of the Airweight 351 from our previous test. Circling back to some features of this firearm, here you can see that serrated blade front sight with the frame integrated rear sight, and a little bit of the sight picture those sights afford on this firearm. When it comes to the trigger pull weight for this firearm, it's similar to our 351 before it. The double action trigger comes in around 11 pounds, while the single action trigger is an unspectacular 5-ish pounds. For pros and cons, the 327 has a nice advantage over many 38 357 revolvers that are typically 5 shots, in that it has a 6-shot cylinder, giving it a 1-round advantage. You can also shoot at least 3 different calibers of ammo, which, while that ammo is expensive, at least you have some variety on your side, so hopefully you can find it. Though on the downside, that ammo is expensive, and at least where I live, it can be quite challenging to find it in stores. Another downside of this firearm that many of, or I should say all of the firearms in today's video will have, is the frame integrated rear sight. It's obviously not adjustable or replaceable. Now, one pro that didn't make it onto the graphic, unfortunately, is price. This Taurus 327 is quite a bit more budget-friendly than some of the other 327 caliber revolvers that are on the market that typically are in the $7,000–9,000 range. For many of those, compared to this 327, you could buy 2 or 3 of the 327 for, say, one SP101 in 327. Let's now take a look at another rimfire snub-nose revolver, the Ruger LCR in 22 long rifle. The Ruger LCR, or Lightweight Compact Revolver in 22 long rifle, is an 8-shot, double action only, internal hammer-fired revolver. It has an overall length of 6.5 inches, height of 4.5 inches, width of 1.28 inches, and weighs in at 14.9 ounces unloaded. The firearm has a 1.87-inch stainless steel barrel. There is no external safety, and again, it has a double action only trigger. For sights, it has an anti-glare front blade sight with frame integrated rear sight. Some other mentionables on this revolver are, it has a stainless steel barrel and cylinder with an aluminum frame and polymer fire control housing to help get the weight down. It uses Ruger's proprietary friction-reducing cam trigger system, which gives it a smooth, non-stacking trigger pull. It also comes with the Hogue Tamer mono grip, and interestingly enough, the 22 long rifle version of this revolver is slightly heavier than the 38 special version. Speaking of that smooth, non-stacking trigger, the double action only trigger on my Ruger LCR comes in at approximately 6 pounds off my gauge, which puts it as the best double action trigger of any of the revolvers we're looking at today in terms of trigger pull weight. Here you can see the sights on that LCR. You'll notice that anti-glare front sight. The newer versions like the one I have a white box added to make them easier to see, though like all of the firearms today, it has that frame integrated rear sight. You can also see that sight picture on the right of our graphic. For pros and cons, on the pros side, the lightweight and size of the LCR make it very easy to conceal and carry. It has a decent double action only trigger, is surprisingly accurate, has an 8-round capacity, comes with a comfortable Hogue grip, and very mild recoil that make it an easy to shoot snub-nose revolver. For cons, it has only the double action only trigger, so while there is no external hammer to snag on, say, a pocket on your draw, you don't have the luxury of being able to do a slow measured single action only shot, and the firearm is made in batches, so it has limited availability and may be hard to find at certain times of the year. And now let's circle back to another centerfire snub-nose revolver, in this case, the Taurus Model 85 snub-nose revolver in 38 special.
Okay, ready?
Cameras are rolling.
The Taurus Model 85 we're shooting in today's video is a good 40 years old and is no longer available. It has been replaced with the 856, a 6-shot version of the firearm. As a result, we're going to focus on, for the numbers breakdown, the 856. The Taurus 856 is a 38 Special Plus P 6-shot snub-nosed revolver. It has an overall length of 6.55 inches, height of 4.8 inches, width of 1.41 inches, and weighs in at 22 ounces unloaded. This revolver has a 2-inch stainless steel barrel. For a safety, it has a transfer bar safety. It is external hammer fired, allowing you to cock the hammer and do a single action shot, though you can also fire hammer down with a double action trigger pull. For sights, it has the serrated blade front sight with frame integrated rear sight. The Taurus 85 and 856 both have a stainless steel frame, barrel, and cylinder. The original Model 85 had a 5-shot cylinder. You may also notice that it had a polished stainless finish compared to the matte stainless finish the firearm is available as today. You may have noticed in our initial slide on the 856 that it sounds eerily similar to the 327. That's because these firearms are almost identical, with maybe an ounce of weight difference between them. As a result, we're going to reuse the 327 sight slide and show you that they have the same front blade, frame integrated rear sight, and sight picture between these two firearms. Same goes for the trigger. Ignore 327 on this graphic and think 856. The single action trigger on the modern 856 comes in around 5 pounds, while the double action trigger is going to be in the 11-pound ballpark. The Taurus 356 for pros and cons. On the pro side, you now have a 6-shot snub-nosed revolver. It's budget-friendly, it's easy to carry, easy to shoot, and has fairly mild recoil. Though cons, as with all of these firearms today, that frame-integrated rear sight is a downside in my opinion. And for some reason these days, 38 special ammo, be it range ammo, target practice ammo, or self-defense ammo, it's approaching the expensive end of ammo pricing. The final snub nose in today's video is the Smith & Wesson Model 36. The Smith & Wesson Model 36 is a 38 Special Plus P snub-nosed revolver. It has an overall length of 6.94 inches, height of 4.3 inches, width of 1.33 inches, and weighs in at 19.64 ounces unloaded. This revolver has a 1.88-inch carbon steel barrel. It is a 5-shot capacity. It is external hammer fired, allowing you to do a double action shot with the hammer down, or you can cock the hammer and fire it single action. It has no external safety, and for sights, it has the anti-glare blade front sight with frame integrated rear sight. The Model 36 was introduced way back in 1950 using what was new at the time, the J-frame. It was first named the Chief Special and changed to the Model 36 in 1957. It was discontinued in 1999, though luckily it was brought back in 2007. This firearm has a carbon steel frame, cylinder, and barrel that help it absorb recoil well. For pros and cons, on the pro side, the Model 36, in addition to being a classic, it's accurate, reliable, easy to carry, easy to shoot, It has that double action and single action mode for your trigger and hammer, being external hammer fired. It has mild recoil with 38s, a better than decent trigger. For some reason, and I have not put my finger on what, could be the difference in grips, while it's lighter than our Taurus Model 85, it had less felt recoil. On the con side, it's expensive, it can be hard to find in stores, and similar to that Model 85, 38 ammo is approaching the expensive end of the ballpark.
Starting at number 5, we have the Taurus 327. This revolver was poised to be near the top of the list, but a few factors knocked it down in the list today, and unfortunately, an issue we encountered knocked it all the way to the bottom. With 32 Smith & Wesson long in the cylinder, the Taurus 327 can be very fun to shoot with very mild recoil. I'd put on par or maybe even better than the 22 Magnum revolver, but stepping up in the power is a step down in the fun, more so when you make the leap to 327 Federal Magnum. A revolver that is fun to shoot with the lower velocity ammo becomes brutal on the hands to shoot with the spicy ammo. When you also factor in the cost of ammo, neither 32 Smith & Wesson long, 32 H&R Magnum, nor 327 Federal Magnum are easy on the wallet, and that's even if you can find them in stores. Where I live, you're almost never going to see any of these three ammos in stock in stores. In store and online, you're going to pay a premium. Ammo prices and availability were enough to knock it down on the list, but the reason it landed at the bottom at the list today is reliability. Of the firearms we feature on this channel, this 327 might have the fewest rounds through it, again due to those ammo challenges, but even with so few rounds through it, we ran into a major problem. After the crew shot the 327 in today's video, I took a turn, and partway through, the yoke screw assembly went AWOL, with the yoke coming loose from the firearm when it was reload time. Having this type of issue with so few rounds through the firearm landed it at the bottom of the list today. And note, just because we had this issue doesn't mean you will. The internet reads like this isn't that uncommon of an issue with the 327, unfortunately, but at the very least, it's worth confirming the screws on your firearm are secure before and after you hit the range. Let's move on. The number 4 spot in our list is taken up by the Smith & Wesson Model 351 PD. The 351 PD is extremely light. It feels like it should be in the atom weight class rather than the air weight class. This revolver is easy to conceal and carry. The wood grips fit the hand well, making it easy to hold, control, and shoot. The sights are very good, probably the best of the 5 we looked at today, which is a big plus when it comes to sight visibility through cataracts. Compared to the centerfire revolvers in today's video, 22 Winchester Magnum is very easy to find and affordable. So why is this firearm so low on the list? A combination of 2 factors dropped it down. The 351 PD is very expensive. That and 22 Winchester Magnum is the second reason. While 22 Winchester Magnum is relatively cheap and easy to find, out of a short snub-nosed barrel, the advantage it has over 22 long rifle is all but gone. Most of that powder in the cartridge is wasted as a brilliant muzzle flash, rather than propelling the projectile. If the 351 PD were chambered in 22 long rifle, it would have been ranked at the level of the LCR and maybe even above it. But sadly, it's not. On that note, we'll move on to the number 3 spot on the list, the Smith & Wesson Model 36. To some, the Chief Special would occupy the top spot, and while it is worthy of such high regard, the reason it isn't there for us today came down to one factor: price. Like the 351 before it, the Model 36 is expensive, even when found used. It is an excellent snub-nosed revolver, easy to carry with mild recoil and very accurate, but the price of the firearm, combined with the cost of ammo, prevented it from being the top dog today. With 2 spots left on the list, some of you are probably on the edge of your seat thinking a Taurus somehow shattered the hopes and dreams of the internet and landed at the top. Fear not, because that Taurus Model 85 ended up second on our list today. You looked a little worried there for a moment. Influenced by the Model 36, but not a clone of it, the less refined looking and shooting Model 85 has the advantage of price on its side. New, you can buy at least 2 for what a Smith goes for. Never mind how many you could get used for that same price. Unlike the 327 at the bottom of today's list, this Model 85 is a good 40 years old, has many rounds of 38 under its belt, and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Most days it goes shot for shot with the Model 36, so when price is factored in, it's hard not to give it the leg up today. It handles recoil well, is easy to operate, is accurate, and has held up well over the years. This combination of factors allowed it to jump above the Smiths today and land at number 2 on the list. Moving to the top spot in the list, with 4 out of the way, it's not hard to define the winner at this point, the Ruger LCR in 22 long rifle. Some people are probably already rage commenting on how it doesn't make sense for what they perceive as an anemic rimfire cartridge to carry the day. But remember, we're ranking these firearms using the cataract lens of the senior shooter, not as an action movie star modeled after a Greek god. Low recoil, simple to operate, easy to shoot, with sights that are easy to see. These things carry more weight in the rankings today than the name brand on the side or how large a caliber the revolver shoots. While the Ruger LCR is not as close to budget-friendly as the Taurus revolvers in today's video, it does have the most budget-friendly ammo and the easiest to find ammo on its side. It has good sights, an easy-to-hold grip on a very low-recoiling revolver that make it extremely easy to hold, control, and shoot. The double-action trigger is better than decent. It is simple to operate, easy and cost-effective to practice with, and with a wide variety of ammo available in 22 long rifle today, it is easy to find ammo that get it at least on par velocity and penetration-wise with 22 Winchester Magnum snub-nose revolvers. Putting all those factors together, and the Ruger LCR and 22 long rifle claim the top spot in today's video. That's how we have these 5 revolvers ranked. How do you have them ranked? The same or different from us? Let us know in the comments. We'd like to know. Well, anyway, that seems like the perfect spot to end today's video. If you enjoyed the video today, like the video, share it with your friends and family, maybe even drop a comment on there. Those things are free and they really help the channel greatly. If you'd like to help us make more videos like this in the future, look into becoming a member. Fred and I really appreciate you getting this far. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day. Vaporized it.